Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. So today we are creating another huge modern mansion yet again in The Sims 4. And today we are focusing on creating a LA style mansion that you'll typically see in like their mountaintop ranges, I guess. Like they have like these huge modern mansions placed on like these huge hills, and they're kind of like three-tiered, four-tiered. They have like a bunch of different like tiers going at them and stuff like that. So I wanted to replicate that in this build, and I did create something like this similar before, but this one I don't know, I just feel like we haven't created something like this on the channel for a while. So I just thought like it would be like a good change to like go to creating something that you would see in a mountain, as we recently just created a Spanish home which was kind of like Mediterranean themed. So now we're going back to like a more like an American style theme. And speaking of American style theme, I actually never built like a typical suburban, which is kind of like shocking. Like the fact that I built in The Sims and I never built a typical suburban is quite shocking. So I'm gonna have to like get onto that and probably like create a suburban for you guys. But yeah, this build is primarily focusing on creating a very modern looking white simple exterior with like a lot of like natural wooden tones. And yeah, you would just see that throughout the entire build, how I create this huge confusing home. And as you guys can see so far, like I actually started off with creating the platforms, and I'm starting on the third floor, or I believe the second floor. And I started like this because I wanted to actually create the shape of the home from the ceiling, which I feel like, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the way I did it for this home, and I don't regret it. But at the same time, when I'm looking at this home right now, it's so confusing. Like the speed build of it in the beginning, I don't know why, but when I first started building this, I was not confident. I don't know, I just felt like it just wasn't turning out great. Anything I tried, it just didn't look that good. So like right now, the way you guys can see it right now, I was gonna leave it like this. I wasn't actually gonna put 3 tiers on it, so I wasn't gonna make it 3-tiered. So it was gonna only have the first floor and the second floor. But then I was like, this looks a bit too like flat, you know, like it doesn't look tall enough to be considered like these like typical LA homes. And even if it wasn't in that style, it just wasn't like resonating with what I was going for in my mind. So I wanted something that was like very tall and like extravagant and over the top and very fancy and luxurious looking, and I just wasn't getting it with this like 2 tiers. So instead, like throughout like the video, you would see me like skip a few minutes ahead, and it's primarily because like this speed build took an insane amount of time, because I just had to like think about what I can do to actually make this house look a bit more interesting. Like don't get me wrong, I do like the way it looks when it's 2-tiered, but it just wasn't looking the way I wanted it to. So what I changed was I actually just went back and like added a 3rd tier onto it eventually, as you'll see throughout the video. And as you guys can see, like I was already prepared to leave it like this, as I created like the boundaries like around it, like the fences. I added the glass around the top floor, like the ceiling, as well as like the half walls towards the front of the home. And I was just gonna leave it like this, and I was so happy with it. But then I thought like, no, it's not working out, because even if I made both of the wall heights, like the tallest wall height on both of the walls for both of the floors, it just wasn't looking good. So I just had to go back and add that 3rd floor. In the end, like it kind of like paid off because it looked so much more better. You guys can see me right now like filling up this entire home with like a bunch of glass and like these nice sliding doors that came with Eco Lifestyle. However, I just didn't like the way it looked in the end, and I had to change it because I don't know, like I like the way it looks. Like don't get me wrong, like I don't mind a short door on like a tall wall height or like a medium wall height. However, it just wasn't working with this build. Like I just wanted like something that was more like floor to ceiling, because the house already looked short when it was like 2 floors. So I couldn't, you know, put small wall height windows and doors. It just didn't make sense. So I just went back and added like proper wall height ones that like were floor to ceiling, that match with the platform that I was actually going for. And you guys will see that change as we process throughout this entire speed build. And you guys can see me right now, I'm actually placing these pristine pedestals that came from Get Famous, but I actually end up changing that because the pristine pedestals got kind of like messed up, and I just didn't want anything annoying in this build. You know, I wanted to keep it nice and simple and fresh. That's the whole objective of this build, is to keep it nice and simple. But obviously that, you know, does end up changing a little bit, and I do end up changing the pedestals that go around like the balcony bits, because it was, one, it was looking a bit too bulky, and two, it was like it was just not practical, you know. It looked nice, but it just didn't work out that well. And plus, if I wanted to do that, I would have to do that throughout the entire top ceiling, like the roof part of this build, and I was just not ready to do that. So yeah, it was just taking an insane amount of time, and I accidentally moved one of the balconies, like front and back, just like using the arrow thingies, and it just got rid of all of the pristine pedestals. So I was just like, you know what, if someone plays in this house and they actually end up changing something, and all of the pristine pedestals go, and then half of it is there on like the other side of the house, it doesn't make any sense, you know. So it just made sense to just get rid of all of them, and then you guys don't have to deal with it, and I don't have to deal with it. But yeah, as you guys can see, like I already changed the windows and stuff to make it fit the wall height more, and you would see those eco lifestyle sliding doors will also be gone. Sadly, I do love them, but I just had to get rid of them. And but yeah, I'm just creating the third floor, as you guys can see right now, because as I was mentioning, like I just wasn't happy with the 2 floors. I really wanted to add that extra third floor, and I was actually kind of going off of, I saw one image that I wanted to like replicate, sort of, not replicate, but like I wanted to get ideas from, right? And then that's the reason why this house just wasn't turning out well, because like you can't just stick to a reference that you're looking at. You need, you know, you need to kind of like go outside of the box. So I didn't look at any references that actually had 3 floors, which I wish I did. I would have had more inspiration and more ideas to like include for this build, but yeah, I just didn't get around to doing that, unfortunately, because I just didn't really have time, and I was just like, you know what, I might as well just make something really unique rather than looking at more references. I just saw one reference as I was like just like laying down in bed, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna create this build. But then I ended up changing it up so much that it just doesn't even look like the reference anymore, especially with the incorporation of the 3rd floor. But yeah, moving on to the interior, sort of. I believe we go back and forth, but right now I'm just creating these stairs, and I wanted these like very extravagant, like over the top looking stairs, utilizing a bunch of different platforms and stuff, with like the specific stairs that has like the spacing in between each of like the pieces. And I wanted that because I just feel like it makes sense for a really luxurious home like this. And you guys can see already, like from the floor plan, it is a huge home. So yeah, it was kind of like, I did have to think quite a lot about like how I wanted to strategically manage this entire like floor plan and make it look effective and nice and simple and flowy, because I don't like it when my houses are like very closed off and stuff. As you guys like, I don't know if you guys have seen my previous builds and stuff, but I really do like that open floor plan feel. So I don't really like to restrict myself with like using like a bunch of small different rooms, and it's evident throughout like all of my builds, to be honest, and including this one as well. But yeah, and moving on to the actual like interior part where we actually start furnishing, we start off with the kitchen, and we go with this very nice white, simple, like white and beige color scheme, which I feel like contrasts really well with the eco lifestyle flooring that we have going on the flooring in the entire house. To be honest, like throughout the entire house, I use this eco lifestyle flooring, which I love. I don't know, there's just something about this flooring specifically that I always just use, because it's just so practical and it's just like the most realistic looking. It doesn't look too perfect, it doesn't look chipped, it doesn't look old, it doesn't look new, you know. It's just like the perfect balance in my opinion. And I use the island living counters that came from that pack, because those counters came with like the waterfall edge feeling, and I wanted that in this build because I just wanted something that resonated with like an LA style mansion. And I do watch a lot of these like open digest videos and a lot of these house tours and stuff from several different YouTubers, like these real houses and stuff, and I even go on Zillow sometimes in my own spare time just to like look at these homes to see what they have inside of their homes and how they actually decorate it, the exteriors, the interiors. And that's primarily how I get a lot of like my inspiration, as well as like with the typical stuff that I know how to do in The Sims as well. That's like primarily the way that I like to like create and design in The Sims, because I don't know, I don't really like changing my style up a lot. I like keeping it like very cohesive and fluent, because that's just like my style, you know. If this is not something that resonates with you, that's completely fine. You guys can easily change it. I don't add so much like detail to the point where like you actually have to scrap the entire home, you know. You could replace a few furniture pieces and it will look completely fine, because I don't really like utilize like a lot of things like put together, if that makes sense, to create one thing. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way this home turned out, especially like the furniture and stuff. And I also created this like nice little console place next to the main like TV area, and I placed these like plants on either side of like the console unit thingy, which I thought was kind of cool. I actually never did this before, and I thought it was kind of unique. And you guys can see like throughout the entire home, like the main colorway is primarily like white, beigey sort of like style, and like tiles as well as like wood. So you saw me incorporate that throughout the kitchen as well, and how like I made the corners of each side of the kitchen like more detailed by adding like these corner pieces, as well as like a bunch of different like shelving units and the coffee table, a specific like coffee unit, and like a nice simple dining area as well. And we also have like a designated dining area on the first floor as well, which I do not show because it was just taking such a long time, to be honest. And this is one of the bedrooms, and I believe this is on the first floor if I'm not mistaken. But as I mentioned, this home does have quite a few rooms, and a few of them being bedrooms, to be honest. And I'm showing this bathroom because it was one of the main bathrooms on the first floor. So yeah, I just wanted to like show you guys the color scheme that I went with for most of the bathrooms in this home, which is kind of like a light bluish and black and white theme that I kind of just like put throughout like all of my builds, because I just feel like it's the most realistic looking one, and I feel like a lot of bathrooms do look the same in real life as well as in the game. So yeah, I just wanted to resonate that throughout the entire build. And this is, I believe, another one. Oh no, this is another one of the spare rooms that was on the first floor that I actually utilized into a office. So we have like a nice simple grungy dark office that I placed in this build, which I feel like worked really well, because I feel like a lot of the build is very light and open and like very free looking, but this room in particular, I wanted to create a dark atmosphere for this office, which I feel like I executed pretty well. I really do like the contrast between the orange in the wood with the like the dark plastered or concrete wall. I'm not sure what it is, if it's plaster or concrete. I believe it's concrete walls, and I know that they came with Eco Lifestyle because that pack is, I feel like that's one of my favorite packs when it comes to building, because it just has a lot of the stuff that I really want. And I kind of created this like built-in like unit shelving thingy. It's like storage space sort of thing at the back of the office by utilizing the cabinets, the kitchen cabinets that came from Dream Home Decorator. Once again, always going to be a lifesaver when it comes to cluttering up and making rooms look a bit more busy. You can never go wrong with Dream Home Decorator. And we have like a little break here, just like going out of the house, putting these like outdoor lighting throughout the entire place, because I feel like I kind of forget to put outdoor lighting in some of my builds. So whenever I just remember to put it in my interiors, I'm just like, you know what, might as well just go in and put it in the exteriors as well while I'm at it. I do get it kind of is kind of a bit incohesive in the sense that like I go from interior to exterior, but we are just like completing the exterior of the build right now as before we go on to the second floor. So I already finished furnishing the first floor, as you guys have seen me already do, but now we're just doing the bottom part of the actual like home, so like the garden and stuff. I believe I leave the front towards the end, but I do end up like finishing the garden and stuff before moving on to the second floor, which is what we're doing right now. So this is primarily classified as like the master bedroom, I guess, of this build, as this one does have like its own walk-in wardrobe as well as its own bathroom. And I just feel like, I don't know, I just simplify it by saying this is the master bedroom, by saying like, you know, if it has like the more rooms to itself, I feel like that classifies it as its own master bedroom. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, who knows. But yeah, that's just the way like I think about it when it comes to like a master bedroom. The more rooms that like are associated to like one specific room, it kind of like makes it the master, because it's like, you know, it has more rooms than the other ones, if that makes sense. I don't know if that made sense, but yeah. We also have like a nice little seating area for this bedroom, and it also has its own balcony, which I feel like, you know, it's kind of like cool to have your own balcony in like such a huge home like this. And I feel like not a lot of the homes that I build do actually have a lot of balconies, so it's kind of nice to switch it up and create these like very like balcony busy homes. And we do also have balconies on the front of the home as well as at the back of the home. So yeah, you can like, you know, design and change anything the way you want it to be with this build and create like whatever you want, to be honest. And yeah, I just feel like I gave you guys like a lot of freedom with like whatever you guys want to do with my builds, to be honest. Like I feel like it's like very easily interchangeable as well if you guys want to like add your own like color scheme and like styles and stuff. And I do leave like most of my shelves and stuff empty because like as you're playing you can add your own stuff into it, which I feel like is kind of cool. And yeah, here is the small walk-in wardrobe that I mentioned before. It's nothing special, but I just use the Dream Home Decorator modular pieces to create that. And I saw this like little one gap in this bathroom, so I just decided to put the toilet there, and I just felt like it just made sense. I feel like in a real LA home you would probably have that behind a door, but I didn't really put one because there was just no need, to be honest. Like, you don't need to go that extra, to be honest. But yeah, I also captured the new delivery package thingy that The Sims was having while I was building this, which was kind of cool, so I just left it in the speed build. But yeah, this is another one of the bedrooms that we have created in this build. I don't really show every single one because it just took such a long time, and I believe this is like 7 or 8 bedrooms. It's quite a lot of bedrooms, especially if you like include the empty rooms that you can like furnish in this build as well. I don't think I left any room empty, but I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to change any of the extra rooms, such as like the office or the gym or like the nursery, into like other bedrooms, you can easily make this into like a 7, 8, 9 bedroom home, which is insane. And yeah, we just finished the second bedroom. Well, pretty much realistically the third one, but the second one on the second floor. And you guys just saw me, I just placed like this nice like accent wall for the main bedroom as well as for the other bedroom. And we also have a nice little nursery for this build, and I wanted to incorporate this because I feel like a lot of people play with their family, so it just makes sense to include a nursery as well as like a children's room, which is like right next to the nursery, which I feel like is really nice. I feel like for playability it is also really nice to have these extra rooms that are like dedicated to specific life stages, if that makes sense. I just feel like it just makes it easier to make it more like playable, because I do use a lot of double beds in my rooms and in all of my builds, because I don't know, like, obviously like who's going to be playing in it, so people can easily go and change it by themselves. But I just feel like, you know, if you aren't playing with toddlers, or you don't want to play with toddlers, you can also change this into like a basic double bedroom as well. But yeah, I just wanted to create this because I feel like it resonates well with like a typical LA family home, which is what I wanted. And once again, I used Dream Home Decorator to create this simple like not toddler room, like a small teenage room, like a young kids room basically, that have to share one room. And I utilized some stuff that came with like the kids stuff, such as like those small like little desks and stuff, as well as like a bunch of different like toys and stuff. At first I created this like huge like wardrobe thingy with Dream Home Decorator stuff, and I placed a TV, but then I was like, it just doesn't make sense because this is like a kid's room, and I didn't want to have a TV in a kid's room or like a huge walk-in wardrobe thing either. So I just placed this like very simple one that I believe came from base game, which is always a lifesaver, to be honest, when you're trying to like add in like a small simple wardrobe thing. So yeah, I just placed that, and I just instead added a bunch of different toys rather than adding like technology and stuff, because you know you don't need that in a kid's room. So yeah, just added that and a bunch of different like other toy stuff, as well as like changing the wallpaper, and I believe I changed the flooring. If not, I do just add like a simple little like kids rug in it, just to make it like a bit more simple and cohesive. And I tried to match with like this blue theme that I seem to be going with in most of my builds. And this is one of the other spare bedrooms, not spare bedrooms, but like just like another spare room in the house that I just utilize into like a gaming room, and just has like 2 simple desks that came from like high school years, as well as like the gaming computers that came from high school years, which I feel like is really cool, and I really do like the way it looks. And I also incorporated the Moschino lighting that came from the Moschino pack to create that like nice colored like mood lighting in that gaming room. And this is actually the final few moments of decorating the interiors of this build. So we're actually looking at the 3rd floor now. So I wanted to kind of have like a specific like studio vibe, or like a guest suite vibe on the 3rd floor, by having a very like neutral color theme on the 3rd floor, and like not, and like kind of like simplifying it in comparison to the other parts of the home. And I included this like this YouTuber station thingy. I know it's not called that, but I kind of call it like the YouTube station thing, because you kind of just like create videos on it, and it came with Get Famous, if you guys are wondering. But yeah, I just created like this nice simple like studio flat sort of situation on the 3rd floor, if that makes sense. And I don't know, I just created that because like I just liked the way it looked, and I just felt like it was like if you wanted like a guest in your home, you would probably like put them on the third floor. And yeah, just create like a nice simple like living area. So like added like a TV unit area, as well as like a dining area, as well as like a simple kitchen, just so that they don't have to go all the way downstairs just to utilize those amenities, if that makes sense. But yeah, just like for the last few seconds of this build, we're just like going around adding a few decorations, like a bar, a jacuzzi, as well as like you fixing the gym, and just adding overall like foliage throughout the interior and the exterior of the home. And yeah, just like making it look a bit more like lived in and homey. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this speed build. I also provided some screenshots towards the end of the video that you guys can check out. Let me know what you think about this build in the comments below, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you guys like this build. But besides that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.